Imagine this. A tourist lands in India for the very first time. They have dreamed about this trip for years. Videos of Varanasi sunsets, Kerala backwaters, Ladakh mountains, Rajasthani forts have lived in their head for months. They have heard about spirituality, yoga, colors, and a civilization older than most countries on earth. They step out of the airport. The air smells different. The sounds are louder. The energy is intense. For a moment, it feels magical. Then reality starts to add layers. They walk into a public washroom, wet floors, broken locks, no soap. They come out and feel eyes on them. Not quick glances, but long, unbroken staring. A group gathers. Someone whispers. Someone points a phone. Selfie, selfie. A taxi driver insists aggressively. Another man appears from nowhere. Cheap tour, best price. Fares are quoted at 3 times the normal rate. Crossing the road feels like a survival game. Street food tastes amazing, but the next morning they are sick. Everywhere they go, they feel a thin line between vibrant and unsafe. Now imagine something else. An Indian student lands in a foreign country. Or an IT engineer. Or a family on vacation. India has the world's largest overseas community, with over 35 million NRIs and people of Indian origin living abroad as of 2024. They are in tech, medicine, research, logistics, construction, academia, entrepreneurship. They are everywhere. One day, a video goes viral. A group of Indian tourists shouting in a quiet train. Another, Indians littering in a beautiful public park. Another, heated arguments with airport staff. Another, a case of visa overstay. Another, harassment complaints in a foreign university. Individually, each clip is just one incident. Collectively, it becomes an image. And when people do not know you personally, they judge you by the image. This video is about both those mirrors. How we treat foreigners in India. How we behave when we are the foreigners. And how, in both cases, we are quietly shaping India's respect in the world. Let's stay with that first tourist for a moment. They wanted chaos, yes. They expected crowds, yes. They knew India would not look like a Western postcard. But they did not expect to feel like an object. They walk through a market and feel eyes following them everywhere. A small group of men slows their pace and walks just behind them. Some smile politely, some smirk, some raise phones for photos without asking. A couple of kids are pushed forward by adults. Go, ask for selfie. The tourist smiles at first, but slowly, their smile becomes stiff. At monuments, they are rarely left alone. Guides attach themselves without consent. Prices change the moment the foreign face appears. A bottle of water, a short ride, a simple souvenir, everything costs more because they are rich, they can afford it. For them, it feels less like hospitality and more like extraction. The hygiene shock is real too. Public washrooms in many places are uncomfortable even for Indians. For visitors used to consistent sanitation, it feels like a system that simply does not care. Dirty stations, overflowing bins, open drains, food handled barehanded with no sink in sight. A stomach infection during a dream trip rewrites the entire memory. And then there is safety, especially for women. Countless reports and personal accounts describe being stared at, followed, filmed without consent, or touched in crowds. Some women have shared such traumatic experiences online that other travelers cancelled planned trips and vowed never to visit. Foreign tourist arrivals to India are still below pre-pandemic levels, and many analysts openly connect that gap to global concerns about safety, particularly for women visitors. Indians know how painful it is when the world keeps repeating headlines about assaults and harassment here. But for the traveler who lived that story, it is not news. It is their life. For every tourist who goes back and says, India was chaotic but beautiful, and people were kind, there is someone who goes back and says, India was beautiful, but I felt unsafe, overcharged, and constantly watched. Both stories are true. The question is, which one are we multiplying? Most Indians are not evil. Many are genuinely kind and helpful. So why does this behavior keep repeating? One reason is simple curiosity without boundaries. In smaller towns and even in some cities, seeing a foreigner is still unusual. People stare not because they hate, but because they are fascinated. They gather like it's a local spectacle. To them, it feels harmless. To the person surrounded, it feels like being trapped in a human zoo. Then there is herd behavior. One person goes for a selfie. Another joins. Then 10 more. Someone stands too close. Someone puts an arm around the shoulder without asking. Someone makes funny comments in the local language, assuming the foreigner cannot understand. No single person wakes up saying, I will harass someone today. But once the crowd forms, individual responsibility dissolves. There is also a softer, more uncomfortable layer: insecurity dressed as power. Overcharging because they're foreigners anyway, cheating because they won't know the difference, mocking their accent or clothes in a language they don't understand. None of this is confidence. It is a sense of inferiority trying to feel bigger for a few minutes. Add to this the remains of a colonial hangover. For decades, white skin was associated with higher status. Some people still react with excessive admiration, picture-taking, and obsession. Others respond with mockery or resentment. Both reactions come from the same place, not being fully secure in our own identity. And over everything sits a weak civic identity. Most of us do not really see ourselves as representatives of India in daily life. We think, I am just one person. What I do doesn't matter. But to a guest, that one person is India. There is no separation. Yes, systems fail too. Public sanitation around tourist areas should be world-class. Tourist police should be visible and responsive. Touting and scamming should be tightly controlled. Signboards should be clear. Harassment complaints should face quick and visible action. But even if the system magically upgrades overnight, citizen mentality can still ruin the experience. You can force someone to pay a fine. You cannot force them to respect consent. You can install more dustbins. You cannot force someone to feel responsible for public spaces. That part is cultural evolution, and it is slower than construction. It is easy to say, so what? One tourist felt bad, they'll get over it. But the consequences travel much further than that one trip. Foreign travelers share everything: Instagram stories, YouTube vlogs, blog posts, TripAdvisor reviews. One uncomfortable crowd incident in front of the Taj can become a warning video seen by millions. One harassment story can overshadow 100 peaceful journeys. Negative experiences spread faster and stick harder than positive ones. Tourism is not a side activity. It contributes billions of dollars to India's GDP and supports millions of jobs: drivers, hotel staff, guides, shopkeepers, restaurants. When women tourists say they do not feel safe here, when travel advisories become stricter, when foreign tourist arrivals recover slower than the global average, that is not just a PR problem. It is money lost, jobs lost, chances lost. Beyond economics, there is identity. How we treat foreigners is often a reflection of how we treat our own diversity: people from the Northeast, migrants from other states, different religions, different accents, different skin tones. If difference automatically attracts staring, mockery, exploitation, then we do not have a tourism issue. We have an identity issue. A truly developed country is not defined only by skyscrapers or space missions. It is defined by how predictable and safe everyday interactions are. By whether a stranger can walk alone at night without panic. By whether a confused guest can ask for help without fear of being cheated. When a tourist goes home and says, India was loud, crowded, intense, but I felt respected and protected, that is real power. When they say, India was beautiful, but I never felt fully safe, that is a quiet wound to our image that no advertisement can cover.